Hello, TBR fans. Welcome to this episode of Talk About Rock. I'm Rob Edwards. You asked for more metal, and you got it. Our host, Jerry Schmidt in Nashville, brings us today's metal guest. Jerry.
Yes, we have Don Carr today from Nashville. Nashville's premier Iron Maiden tribute band, Iron Tribe, as well as NoiseCult, who has just signed to Metal Assault Records. We have Don Carr. Don, welcome. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me there, Jerry. Robert, happy to be here talking about metal. My favorite things to talk about.
Oh, ours too. That's why we started the show.
Great.
Hence the name.
We can't get enough of it. So I saw you guys perform a couple weekends ago over there at the Cobra. How did that show come about with NoiseCult? How did you get all those bands together and put this show together? It sounded like one of the bands or a couple of the bands had not performed live in quite some time. And maybe even yourself.
We've done a couple shows, but yeah, the quick thing is really I think that's our third show since COVID kind of loosened up a little bit and you can get out and play. The Black Sky Tribe band that was with us, they're good friends of mine, and I've known Michael and Craig for years. So it's like in different versions of bands that they've had together. So I'm always happy to play with those guys. So if we get a slot, we try to usually rotate through different local bands we're friends with, but I'm always happy to get those dudes with us. And then Pull is a new band, I think based out kind of Murfreesboro way. And I know Raphael, the guitar player, a little bit when he was in a Metallica tribute band years ago. And he's been having an original band for a while, and they've been wanting to get out. And I think it's their first time playing in Nashville, so we thought we would, bring them on and play. And that was one of the Cobra's first shows back after being closed for like a year and a half.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
And that was my first time ever at the Cobra. I had never been there before.
Yeah, it's a cool club. There's not many metal clubs left in Nashville. Some have come and gone over the years, and is coming to be one of the better ones. And you haven't seen the old one to gauge it from, but they've made a lot of changes in that room. Bigger stage, better PA. So it was pretty cool being back in there and seeing their changes.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my first time there. So you recently got signed to Metal Assault Records, and you publicized it pretty extensively on Facebook, and you were very, very excited about that. What's it to have the backing of a record label behind you now? What kind of things are you going to be able to do with NoiseCult that you haven't been able to do without the backing of a record label?
I think really in general, the biggest thing is going to be just their help with distribution and publicity. In the past, I've just always kind of done it myself. Not me just by myself, but do it yourself kind of deal with my friend Katie from Stickman Records. I don't know if you remember that. He started a punk rock label himself, and then like in 2007, we were hanging out and we did some shows together. And he's like, "Hey man, why don't you come on board Stickman and help us do this? It's like a local label." And it got us some notoriety just because you're working together with other bands regionally, but it's not a giant label. And so, but we put out tons of records that way through CD Baby and whatnot. But really, to me, this is the strongest record that we've made out of I think we've got like 6 or 7 now in the past 14 years. And having such a good record, I really believe that this might be the one that we can pitch to a label to try to get some help. And we sent it off to about 25 different labels. I heard back from a few. I knew Andrew who runs Metal Assault Records. I knew him from different blogs he's written, and he used to do he's done podcasts and he's done interviews and things. So I knew him from that vaguely, but I liked his dedication to metal in general. And I saw he was starting up this label a couple years ago, and he really put his heart and soul in it. So not telling him, "Hey, it's me. Remember me from when we met before?" I just sent him the stuff, and he listened to it and liked it and called me. He's like, "Hey, I really like this album. I'd like to talk to you more." And then I kind of refreshed his mind going, "Remember that time on the metal show we met and you did this that time and I wrote you?" And he goes, and all of a sudden it dawned on him, "Oh, you're that dude from." So that was actually a nice tie-in after the fact. I didn't want to say, "Hey, use it as a favor," but once he realized, liked the stuff already, then, it helped.
Well, that worked out well for you.
Yeah, and to answer your other question was what I think they could do to us truly is going to be getting it out there in publicity. Like I wasn't looking for someone to like pay for my record and make it for us. I really just needed help in people knowing that we exist. You know.
I gotcha. Well, the world's going to know pretty soon. The entire
Today, yeah, Friday.
So how does the songwriting process come about? Are you pretty much the ringleader with that? You seem to be the guy that's got the finger on the pulse of NoiseCult here, as far as the concept and the ideas and the whole Seraphic Wizard idea. I was told that was your doing, and you came clean Facebook Messenger about that last week. So how do these concepts come to your head and these songs come together?
Yeah, since the beginning, we started in 2003, and we always wanted to be an original band. So, and it's gone through tons of people in the lineup, but me is the main dude who kind of started it. So in the early days, I just always liked writing songs, so I was always cranking out riffs, be it good or bad. And to this day, I'm still, I would say, the primary songwriter, and I still even write a bunch of the lyrics just because it's fun for me, and I'm always doing it. It's not that the other guys can't, and I don't have like veto power to go, no, your stuff isn't good. We're just using mine. I just happen to go, hey, I've written 35 songs, dudes. What do y'all think? And then, say, whittle them down, and we like a handful of them. But yeah, so for the most part, I write a bunch of stuff, but this album came out mainly because Patrick Nickel, our drummer, longtime friend of the band, used to play in Oblivion Myth years ago and had moved back to town, joined Iron Tribe. And then once he was doing that, I was like, hey, man, you want to do some NoiseCult shows? Because our drummer was also in multiple bands and couldn't keep doing all of them. So Patrick came aboard. As you'll hear on the record and as you've seen, the dude is the best drummer I've ever played with. He blows my mind with what this guy can do. You want a road thing? No problem. You want some crazy Dave Lombardo over the top stuff? No problem. It's like whatever song that I come up with, or Sean, our bass player who writes a lot too, whatever he comes up with, this dude's got something for it. So in just jamming some stuff and learning old songs and Patrick putting his twist on it, I was like, man, it would be a shame not to do songs with this guy, new songs. So the more that he was into the band and decided to stay, I was like, I got an old song that we've never recorded. You want to hear it, Patrick? And it just kind of grew from there. And then we just kept feeding him songs. Before we knew it, we had an album. Nice. And a great one for what we feel,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I got treated to a lot of that stuff a couple Saturdays ago. I want to talk about your relationship with Patrick and Sean. They're also in the Iron Tribe band as well. Tell me what your friendship and your chemistry is like with those two guys. Obviously, you've known each other for a long time, and I seem to think that your relationship and your friendship is more than just bandmates and band members. Is that correct in saying that?
Yeah, actually, yeah, for 100% accurate. And I would say that, just to sidestep back to the previous members, it's funny, we've gone through a bunch of people in the band. And, your very first few years, you got people that are just in and out as you're trying to figure out how to play and what kind of band you want to be. But once we got settled in like 2006 or 7, we've gone through like maybe 4 or 5 drummers and whatnot, and Mike's our second singer, although he's been here for 11 years. But it's always been on good terms that people have left. It's always been life stuff. Like, I got a job in New York City, man, I got to move. It's never been like button heads or whatever, and you're kicking people out of the band. So all our changes have some really interesting stories to them, and it's usually work or family or something like that. But Sean joined, he came from the Cretan Grims, was his big punk band that he was playing in back in around 2000, I guess 7 and 8. And our old singer, who also played bass at the time, hurt his neck and could no longer play bass. So we had to find somebody. Well, we both said, let's go ask Sean from Cretan Grims, because this dude's like a punk rock John Entwistle. So from knowing us, he's a great, interesting dude. He writes cool stuff. Didn't know if he'd be in the stoner rock vibe, that's because he came from punk band. But when we got to know him, I realized, oh man, we both love Blue Oyster Cult. Oh, we both are really into Motorhead. So we connected like this right away. and he joined about 2008, I guess it was. And since then, he's been my like main consistent writing partner, you know, as far as a lot of music stuff. And he writes a lot of stuff by himself as well. And he comes up with some really killer Sabbathy kind of like stoner rock stuff that if you knew him in the past, you might not think from his punk rock days he'd be busting out this 7-minute song, you know. But he's a great dude. I love hanging with him, and like I said, we've been like this since then. And Patrick said to have known him for a long time, and him coming back and joining Iron Tribe was, you know, and you know that whole thing is like 10, 11 people in a party band is how that started. So he was one of 3 drummers. And then I was just happy to have the dude back in town and that we could even play together again, because how much I liked him as a person. So then when we got him to join, you know, NoiseCult, it was like fantastic drummer, fantastic personality, fun dude to be around. He and I have a lot of like same thought patterns of how to approach things and how to construct things, you know. So yeah, personality wise, it's like they're good friends, not just bandmates.
Yeah, I got to talk to him a little bit after the show there at the Cobra, and he is a super nice guy. I was hoping that maybe he would come on the show one of these days and talk with us as well.
I tried to get him out here tonight. Actually, I was going to call you guys and say, "Hey, can I bring Patrick out?" But he's still stuck at work, but so he could get off for tomorrow. What's funny is like, you know, long hair. He's a crazy drummer. You know, the dude's a pharmacist. You know, he like,
well,
you know, like, he's got a grown-up job.
Yeah, we all got to work our day jobs, right? I mean, we all got to do that for now. We got to do that for now, right?
Yep.
But you know,
that's another thing I wanted to ask you about. I was talking to Mike Liffick at the show, and he says that he's into real estate and that he has several rental properties. So I find that a very interesting dynamic that you guys are all professionals by day and metal musicians by night.
Yeah, I'm the only one that's I have a real job, but it would almost be kind of like a funny job compared to those dudes. They have like adult jobs, you know.
well, you get to play the metal music, you know, so that's what's awesome. You know, let's take a quick pause here and check out some Iron Tribe. They're covering Iron Maiden's Wrathchild. we're back talking about rock with Don Carr.
Hi, Don. Well, since
Come on, fellas.
Rob just played that Iron Tribe video, let's talk about the big show on Saturday you got going on at the Hard Rock with Judas Priest cover band Sad Wings. Of course, we both have friends in that band as well. In fact, Sad Wings, I understand, rehearses at your house on Sunday afternoons.
Yeah. Oh, they're here last night. Everybody wants to play at my house. It's just like, I couldn't get away from the metal if I wanted to, you know.
You got the nice setup there going on. You got a big, nice, setup in the garage or the basement, or
yeah, it's basically a garage. It's just that, for whatever reason, everybody likes to come over to my house. They bring their stuff over, plug in, and then.
Are they bringing the beer though?
Yes, actually,
okay, well then it's okay, right?
Speaking of beer, just so you know, for the show, and Gerry, if you come on Saturday, we'll have some Trooper beer at the show.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, drinking my Trooper beer and putting it back here.
Well, you got to have a tie-in somehow, and why not with Trooper beer, right?
Exactly, man. It's like, but I say that only because it's like the Hard Rock is actually nice enough to order some just for these shows. I mean, they may I don't know if they normally carry it, but the first time we played there and where you played that clip, and then this Saturday they've ordered cases of Trooper beer to sell. So
that's great. I'm sure it's going to sell out. This show was supposed to happen the night before the Judas Priest show last month in late October, and you guys postponed it or canceled it. Why did you guys decide to, again, bring it back here and do it now this weekend on Saturday?
Well, the original premise, much like the video that you had shown, that was from 2019, and that was set up. I had set that show up as the night before Maiden, and that's how the whole Iron Tribe thing started. Is we started doing it in 2013. It was a fan club party at the Rutledge, and basically a bunch of musicians that me and Keith Smith, the other guitar player, were friends with, just got them together, and we did Maiden covers and Priest covers and all this stuff. It was a general cover band, and people really liked it. Fast forward to Book of Souls show. Maiden coming to town. We thought, hey, let's do it again. That was fun. And this time we'll do nothing but Maiden tunes. So we got a bunch of people together, like 12 or 13 people in this band. And basically it's like everybody rotates in every few songs, except for Keith and I, we're selfish, so we play everything. And that went really well again. So like, why don't you keep playing? So then the band just stayed together. 2019, we did the night before Maiden again, and got it at the Hard Rock, and Sad Wings was with us. And as you know from that clip, what you have from the Hard Rock, some of the crew and the band from Maiden itself actually came out to the show, which was, blowing my mind that they would be nice enough to come out and hang and play.
That was a very incredible night. I was there.
Yeah, so and then Richie Faulkner came out to play with Sad Wings and all this stuff. So it was a mind-blowing fun experience. So we thought, okay, well, let's do it for Priest. Let's do the night before Priest. And then, as sadly as we all know, literally just a few days before that, Richie has that horrific heart, thing on stage where his heart, he had like an aneurysm basically in his chest, and his heart ruptured. So we just felt, out of respect, that it would be disingenuous for us to like do a show right after it. We felt like, we don't want people to think we're capitalizing on it, or it's just something weird. But we all just like, let's just step back and think about, do we want to do this show? We really want to play it, but let's, out of respect, let's hold off on this. So we talked to the Hard Rock, and they were cool about it. They understood. And I'm like, well, what if let's think about, let me talk with everybody. Maybe we can just do a show to celebrate the music like a couple weeks down the road, so it's not some sort of like tying to this tragedy. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that, they all liked it, and they gave us the first weekend that they had open, a couple weeks later. So that's how this show came about on that date.
Well, it's amazing that we as fans don't really know Richie Faulkner personally, but we can empathize with his plight. And because we're such big fans, they almost become friends to us and larger than life, and people that we associate with. So I could see where you're coming from, that we all felt pretty bad about it, being Judas Priest fans, that Richie almost died that night, from what I understand. So A lot of people don't recover from what happened up on that stage. So it's a pretty amazing story.
No, and again, was like I said, joking before, Patrick being a pharmacist, he knew exactly what happened. He was telling us the next day of what went on. He goes, man, he is like super incredibly lucky that they were playing a short show. They're only like so many miles from basically a Heart Institute hospital. So many things worked out in his favor that he was able to get right from the show and literally right to the operating table. To say most people would not survive that ordeal. So pretty blessed event that he was able to get to the hospital after something.
Yeah, absolutely. So can we expect any special surprises like we had a couple years ago in 2000?
Not of that magnitude. I will say that now, unfortunately. I wish that would be the case. At one time, if, had the thing with Richie not happen, all this stuff, we always had our fingers crossed that maybe they would pop out because they would be in town. But yeah, unfortunately, they won't be there. But we will try to make up for it in our magnitude of metal and the show.
Oh, yeah,
yeah. You guys did have someone from Maiden step in one time and play too, right? The drummer from Maiden played with you guys?
Yeah, so that Hard Rock show in 2019, some of the band came out, and then in that clip, I think the one you played was the lighting director had actually got up there and played guitar. At one point, Nico's drum tech got up and did 2 Minutes to Midnight with us, and then towards the end of the show, Charlie is the drum tech. He got up and said, "Hey man," he goes, "Nico wants to play a song with you all." We're like. And we were done. We literally had no more song. We were like finishing up, saying goodnight for the night. And Charlie goes, "He wants to play a song." I'm like, okay, yeah, that's incredible. What is he going to play? He goes, "I don't know, but pick something real quick." I'm like, "Well, we just played our whole set. We played everything we knew." And all of a sudden, Nico comes up. He's like, "Don, what do you want to play?" And I'm like, "Whatever you want, man." So he started throwing out like, crazy songs like Alexander the Great. I'm like, "Oh, we don't know that one." Just like, yeah. And then I was like, "Play the Vickers." He goes, "Excellent," and just like hits it and counts off, and away we go. And then he was nice enough to stay to do Run to the Hills. So I mean, it was a mind-blowing experience to look, over my left shoulder, and there's Nico McBrain playing.
Oh yeah, it was a night that I'll never forget. That's for sure. I got to talk with Steve Harris ever so briefly, and I've always been a big fan of his. So that was quite the thrill for a kid that grew up loving Iron Maiden, starting at the age of 13 and meeting one of my heroes from back in the day. So
I'll tell you what's funny, man. You want to talk about like nerves or intimidating? Try playing, Phantom of the Opera in front of the dude that wrote it. And we're looking out there playing this song, and it's like, oh man, I don't want to tank this thing and have this dude, hate me. Especially for the bass players. So Sean, who played on that song, told me afterwards, he just laughed and he goes, "Man, it is so crazy to be playing these licks and then looking up and seeing him just watching you and going, don't let me F this song up." But
we're going to be talking to your other guitarist from Iron Tribe next week, I think, with Oblivion Myth. So we're excited to talk to Keith next week about his original music and his original band. Just wanted to pass that word on to the Talking About Rock listeners and viewers.
It's a fantastic record. I mean, the new one is killer. I mean, it's like, it's so much fun to play with this dude. I've known him for like 15 years and we've been booking shows forever. So to get the Iron Tribe thing together with him, just to, throw leads back and forth is a blast. But yeah, his Oblivion Myth is an awesome band. Really killer power metal stuff. If you like that, it's,
Oh yeah, we definitely like that here. Yeah, that's awesome. Yep. Let's take a quick pause and get out our Trooper beers and let's check out this next video. Here we got from Iron Tribe covering Iron Maiden's The Trooper. Oh, we're back with Talking About Rock.
So, fellas, thanks for having me back.
Don Carr from Iron Tribe and NoiseCult. A couple of Nashville bands here, and Iron Tribe is playing out at the Hard Rock Cafe this Saturday. And I know you do some work with the band Iron Maiden. I don't know how much you can talk about your involvement with the band when you're on tour. Maybe you can share a story or two without maybe going into too much detail. But
Sure.
I think a lot of us in the rock circles in Nashville know what you do for them, and maybe you can share some things with our audience.
Yeah, so what I do for a living is I direct videos. So I do, be it TV shows or concerts and all that kind of stuff. And the long story short is I filled in for a friend on the Book of Souls tour, and I went and did the live video that bands will take, basically like the IMAG screens that you see when you go to a concert, the roll-ins and all the camera changes and whatnot. So I had filled in and done a couple shows on Book of Souls, which to me was mind-blowing. I don't normally tour for a living, so to go out for just a few days and do some shows at Maiden was like, my God, I'm touring with Iron Maiden. It's the craziest thing ever. So I came home after that and thought, man, that's the end of that. That was fantastic. And then fast forward to the next summer, 2019, and they had some changes and they needed to get another video director. So the production manager called me and remembered me from filling in. and said, hey, would you like to interview for this job? I know you don't really tour, but would you like to try it, see whatever. So I did an interview process and went through it for like a handful of phone calls and whatnot, and eventually got the job. So currently I'm their video director for their live stuff. So I go on tour with them and then just kind of set up the camera gear with a team that we have, and then just shoot all that. And then whatever else they need, they have some people on staff that are video editors and that shoot behind the scenes things, and I'll help them and edit some stuff together. But it is a weird, mind-blowing experience to like,
I believe it.
and then get to work with them. But it's a job, so you can't go out as super fan, and it literally is.
Right.
And it's a hard job. I will say touring is a ass kicker, more than I ever would have imagined,
So you've been all over the world with those guys then?
I did. The first year I was in like 27 countries. It was all Europe. And then the next tour in 2018 was the first one. 2019 was all South America and the United States, like, when we played here and all that stuff. So yeah, it was a bunch. And then whatever they've got in store for us next year, which all I know about is what's on the webpage now, whatever the odd 20 shows or whatever. The Finnish Legacy, the Beast tour that was canceled by COVID, I know we're going to go do that. And I would assume and hope that we would, the new album just came out, so I would imagine there's probably going to be a tour for that right around the corner.
Well, I'll certainly be at the Nashville date, without a doubt. I never missed those guys.
Yeah, I never did either. It's funny. It's like my mom used to joke with me, because I started going to see Maiden in the early 80s. And as you get older, you're driving 5 hours to see a show, and you're spending all this money for tickets and t-shirts and all this stuff. And I probably had seen Maiden 20 odd times over the years since the early 80s before I got the job and traveled. So my mom laughs about how much money I had invested into the band. She's, well, now they're paying you to go with them. It became this funny kind of thing. I'm like, see, it all paid off.
Yeah, right.
Going to see Maiden, learning their songs. It's like, and they didn't know any of that when I joined, because I didn't approach as a fan. It's like I have to be around professional musicians all the time, and I'm not their buddy and stuff. I'm their employee or whatever. So
Right.
So, so they never knew that I knew all the songs and like the back of my hand and could play them and all this sort of thing until a little bit later. And then it became like a joke of like going, you know all these songs, like the guitar techs and stuff. We're like, man, you can play all this stuff. It's like, yeah, most of it, So, and that's really became the thing of.
They're probably all like, he's going to be looking for our job next, right?
Their job is my job is difficult, but being a guitar tech would be a very difficult job, scarier than mine for sure. But that's essentially how the friendship that I made with all those guys, that's kind of what led to them coming to the Hard Rock. It's like, I didn't announce it. It was kind of a funny story. They heard about it. Some people on the crew were like, hey, what's this thing about you playing in Nashville on our day off when you get there? I'm like, they found some clips of me playing in my band and doing Maiden covers on YouTube. I said, yeah, that's me. I said, well, I play in this band. We just do it for fun. It's a fan club party. And then it just grew from there. And then the next thing I know, it had spread through the whole crew, and most of them came out. And then the last thing, our production manager was joking with me when we were leaving for the day off. They go, how do you feel about playing in front of the band? I'm like, what? What do you mean, band? And then it's like, and then she goes, oh, nothing, and just kind of laughed and left it at that. And I was like, uh-oh. So they all know. So
wow.
Now they're going to come and watch me.
Well, that's so cool that they support you covering their music in Iron Tribe.
Yeah, I didn't know if they would be mad about it or if they would think, what is this idiot doing? But they, like I said, they're generally really nice people. I will say this, in all my encounters with them, and you see them every day, and sometimes they'll just kind of sit down and talk with you. They're really cool. So it's always scary to meet your heroes, they always say. But in this case, like, Steve is super cool. I mean, Nico is he's so friendly and nice. It's like you just want to go up and give the dude a hug. He's funny. He's always coming in joking, it's like that. And it's like, he's probably the one I have to work with the most, because I have to put the cameras around his drum kit. So I'm discussing things with him more than the other ones. But everyone's, like I said, is really cool. The crew, it's been a life-changing experience. I could say that for someone who's never toured to go do that for a couple years. Just, mind-blowing.
So have you flown on the Iron Maiden tour plane?
Not yet. They just stopped using the plane when I came on, so it was all buses for me. And I have no idea if they're going to do the plane again or not. I don't know. I haven't heard one way or the other. I thought that when they ramped up all the dates, like, for the shows that got canceled, originally we were going to go to Australia and Japan and Israel, and pretty long jumps. And I thought, ooh, maybe this will be the year they get the plane. But then all that went away, and none of those dates have come back yet. So I don't know what's in store. Hopefully.
Yeah. So when do you go back out on the road with Iron Maiden again?
It's supposed to be sometime in late May, I would imagine. Usually we have to go for production rehearsals and things like that. And I believe the first show is June 4th. So if it's June 4th or something like that, then we would be there very end of May, beginning of June. Just get all the gear ready. The band wouldn't be there, but we'd have to be there to set things up and all that good stuff. I haven't seen that gear in like 2 years. I'm hoping that it works when I turn it back on,
Well, I know everybody's going to be a little rusty, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Gear or otherwise. So if one of those guitarists got sick one night and they ask you to step in and play guitar for a show or shows, would you be ready to go? They seemed enough material.
I don't think I would be the first choice, but would I do it? No, yeah. It was funny. The techs a lot of times they got to check the guitars and stuff during the day and do sound checks themselves. So I think if there's any hope, maybe I get to play with those dudes one day, because now they know I play and they joke. They're like, "Hey, you ought to come out and check some gear with us." And I'm like, anytime you want to hand me Adrian Smith's guitar to help you sound check, I'm in, dude.
Yeah. They're probably looking at you saying, I don't know. So
you're not touching anything.
Right. So they have such a large catalog of songs. Is there certain albums that really stand out to you, or certain songs that really stand out to you?
Yeah, I have to say I'm partial to the early stuff, just because that's what I heard when I was a kid and when it all started. I mean, I love, even on the new album, there's stuff that I love. I mean, I love the new Senjutsu song, I think, and it's Yannick wrote it. And to me, it's like, sounds like classic Iron Maiden. It's a killer track. I would say my favorite album of all time is Killers, just because of my connection to it as a kid. And the quick story is, I went to a record store, and the only thing I knew was the first album had come out. And I saw the picture, and I think I had heard Running Free maybe. And I went to get it on cassette, bought it, ran home, popped it in. Halfway through Prowler, the tape just stopped, sounded all warbly and sounded like crap.
Yeah.
So I'm all bummed out as a little kid. And at this point, it was 81, and I was 13. So I run back to the record store. I'm like, man, my tape, I'm crying, a little kid. My tape, hey, give me another one. Dude's like, and all I remember is they didn't have another one of those. He goes, I don't have any more of those, but I've got this one. It's the new one, just came out. Just take this one instead. And it was Killers. I was like, all right. So I take it home and put it in, and mind blown. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. So it's like, and from that moment on, that is still one of my all-time favorite albums.
Yeah.
And, and then I just loved it as it went on. I think my favorite Bruce album is Peace of Mind. So it's like, it's that time frame when most people our age are still, clinging to the early stuff that you were ingrained with. But I
totally agree. I remember listening to Running Free at first and like, this is great. And then obviously Number of the Beast broke, but I would have to say Peace of Mind is my favorite album as well from them. It was really cool to see them do a follow-up to Number of the Beast. And a lot of times, bands can't step up and take that pressure and come back with such a great album the second time, but I think they really did. And that's the album that really stands out to me.
Yeah. I mean, if you look what they achieved back in the early days, I mean, those albums in a row, from Killers to Number of the Beast to Peace of Mind to Power Slave. I mean, it's like, it's just hammer and home run after home run. And you realize, we lived it because we were all back there. I remember going to those shows, Peace of Mind and Power Slave, and it's like, they were massive events to go to something like that. I mean,
I think like Iron Maiden has such a strong loyal following. It's different concert for Iron Maiden. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
just because they're following. It's not like a regular concert. They have such a huge following and such loyal fans, and it's awesome. It's still going on.
Yeah. To me, it's like they've transcended to another level. You know how the Rolling Stones have transcended from being a band to being this legendary act that plays stadiums. It's like, it blew my mind to go see Iron Maiden in South America. We've all seen the video clips of it, but to go do that, like when we played Rock in Rio, it's like it's 100,000 people there to see them.
Right.
I mean, that's just amazing to me. And it's not just people our age. There's tons of like 12-year-old kids out there with their parents.
Yeah, I was so happy to take my son to Legacy of the Beast when they came here was it last year or something like that. That was his first Iron Maiden show, and that was just great. I wasn't really sure to expect, to be honest with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you said, you don't want to see see your legends not be able to perform anymore, but they were great. They killed it. It sounded great.
Yeah, I mean, Bruce sounds fantastic, man. Even after like the surgery he had with his his throat cancer in 2018 and whatnot, or 16. I mean, he sounds killer on the Legacy tour. Again, like you said, these dudes aren't young either. To see guys that are in their 60s playing like this and running around, it's like that stage show is the same as it was in '85 as far as Steve is.
Oh yeah,
that dude's running around like he's 20. I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I found that pretty amazing too, that they were back and forth across the stage from left to right, back to the left again.
Yeah.
All over the place. Yeah.
Bruce is climbing that stage, all over it, running around blindly. And I said, I've walked the top of that thing, and it's very narrow and seems rickety. I would not be
right.
So to see him do that and sing, I mean, really, it's like, I love those dudes and had a tremendous amount of respect from them from a fan point. But seeing the behind the scenes of the work that goes into what they do, it's even more, grown.
Yeah, he's a great showman and a great frontman. He always has been for them, And then just the amazing lyrics that Steve Harris has come up with through the years of all the songs. It's just telling these stories and what he comes up with on each album, the concepts and all the things. It's just pretty mind blowing sometimes, some of the stuff.
Yeah. I have to say, I don't know how Bruce remembers all these. I'll be curious to see when we do the new record, whatever songs they may pick from it and whatnot. Like they read like a book. You try to sing "Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner," which we do at the Iron Tribe shows, and Steve, our singer, always laughs. He's like, it's not like a verse and chorus kind of song. It's not like you're doing 4 lines and you're singing a chorus. It's like reading a book.
Right.
Harris writes these novels basically, and it's like not everything rhymes. It's not easy to remember all this stuff. So it's impressive that Bruce, does all this stuff and hammers it night after night and sings. And he doesn't use the teleprompter. His credit, man. There is no teleprompter out there.
Yeah, the music has really progressed, and the songwriting has really progressed from like Murders in the Rue Morgue and stuff like that, and Prowler and stuff, and then to the things now, like you said, just great.
Yeah, it's these epic-y songs that could almost border on being like a soundtrack to a movie or something. You know what I'm saying? They're so like
right.
epic in their structure.
Very literary.
Yeah. And
now,
I just have to say this too. It's like I was really happy to see Adrian Smith, who's one of my favorite writers in the band, that he's like contributed like 4 or 5 songs to this album, which he normally does contribute a bunch, but he did a bunch on this one, and they're good.
Oh, that's great. So I believe Steve Libby actually comes out with a scroll during one of your songs during an Iron Tribe performance, and I think he's singing the lyrics off the scroll, correct?
He did for the first time, and again, to the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. It's like we joke about like, how am I going to do this, man? Because we don't have a teleprompter. Obviously, we're just a little band, so it's like, can't afford that. So, they got to memorize that. Him and Christian.
Get out the little iPad on the stand there.
we thought about that, and I'm like, nah, but that looks crappy.
Yeah, that does. The scroll is perfect.
So, and it was funny. It wasn't the whole thing. I have noticed a trick with singers, because a lot of them have said this, going, look, I don't need the whole line. Sometimes I just need the first word or two of the sentence so I can go, that's right. It's this, and
Yeah,
this.
it puts us on the right track. Yeah, we just need like one or two words sometimes to get it.
I think, he just had a couple cues, but it made a good prop.
Yeah.
Oh, it did. Yeah, it was excellent.
With this old ancient scroll. So,
Yeah, that was very cool. Great idea.
Yeah.
You guys are always thinking out of the box. And it's kind of cool that you guys use that as a prop as well as something that Steve could use to trigger his memory with the lyrics. So I bought tickets today at the T-Pack for Bruce Dickinson's spoken word tour. I wanted to get your take on that, Don, and how you felt about Bruce coming out to the stage and not singing or performing music and just telling stories in front of the audience on this tour coming up. I believe the show's in January here at T-Pack.
Yeah. I too bought tickets. Well, Patrick went out and got tickets, so a bunch of us from the band are going. Patrick, me, Christian, Wendy, a bunch of us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we will see you there. But
Sounds good.
I've always liked the spoken word stuff. I've always loved Henry Rollins when he was doing the Black Flag stuff and his Rollins band stuff, and then he's been doing spoken word since the late '80s. So I've gone to a bunch of his, and I just thought it was an interesting thing to see, like, musicians have these stories about either on the road or just their perspective of stuff. And I saw Scott Ian do one. So when Bruce did it last year, I thought, man, this will be really killer, man, of someone of his level of performing with what stories is he going to tell. And I guess originally it started from him going through his book and talking about stories of the book, is my understanding. And then it just kind of grew from there. He did a couple of those. They went real well. And then, now he's going to whole tour. But I don't have any tidbits or secrets that I know of from the show because I don't know very much about it except for what I've seen. I know has some video stuff that he talks about, and he's been known to bust out some a cappella stuff. Like he did some of the Great at one show.
Do you expect them to be climbing platforms and risers at this show, or?
I don't see him running around. I see him just kind of like walking around and telling us some.
Yeah, there's a little bit of video they were showing around on the internet about it and stuff. It's very theatrical looking, it's a storytelling realm, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to see it. I'll be just
it'll be something different and unusual.
Yeah.
To see Bruce in a different perspective than I normally see him on the stage.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long tour. I was surprised when tickets went. So it's like a few months long. So I hope he's got a lot of stories.
Well, I'm sure it'll end up right before you guys go back out on the road again in May with Iron Maiden. So we're going to see you Saturday night with Iron Tribe, the Nashville's premier Iron Maiden tribute band, along with Sad Wings, covering the music of Judas Priest. Saturday night at the Hard Rock Cafe. Don, what time's that show kick off?
That show will start at 8. So the good thing about it being at the Hard Rock, with it being a restaurant, is that it changes how some of the normal club dynamics go. So it's all ages in the sense of you guys could bring your kids because it's a restaurant. So it's not like a bar, and we're upstairs in a performance room. So that part of it's cool. But yeah, it's pretty much the doors open at 7 and Sad Wings will kick it off right at 8. And I think we're on a little like 9-ish. A little bit after 9. They're doing a little over an hour, so I guess we're like probably 9:15.
How about you guys? You usually play a long time. At least when I saw you at Bowie's the last time out, you guys, man, I ended up leaving at like 1:45 a.m. and you guys were still on the stage.
Yeah, we're gluttons for punishment, dude. We play the songs because we love them. It's like, and it's just fun to play. So yeah, it's like it's an endurance test, really. But I would say we usually end up doing roughly about an hour and 45 minutes, and we split it into like 2 sets. And that's mainly because of the amount of people in the band. So at this point, I think there's still 9 members. A couple people had to leave, just jobs and whatnot. But we have 2 drummers. So to make it simple, it's like we just divide the set in half. So I usually work out the logistics of the set list, and we rotate, people in every few songs. but drummers get up and play. So it's 10 songs for Patrick and 10 songs for Tom. So it's 20 songs for this Saturday and roughly probably a good hour, at least an hour and a half, 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's a pretty good size show right there, 20 songs.
And we change the songs up every show. Which is
So what new ones have you interjected into this show for Saturday night? You guys sometimes do some stuff that you haven't done in a while that you've been rehearsing and working hard on up until the night of the show.
Yeah, we've got not giving all the surprises away. We've got a couple different old ones that we haven't played in a while coming back. Since we talked about the one with Steve, we are bringing Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner back. It's like one of our friends, she loves it. Our friend Gina, it's one of her favorite songs. So we learned it for her a couple years ago. So, all right, we're going to put it in all 15 minutes of it, test my brain power. And it went well. People loved it. And it was fun to play. So we're going to bring that one back. And she's coming down to see that. So it's kind of a request thing for her. And then just a couple other little odd bits and ends and whatnot. Sun and Steel, which I don't even think Iron Maiden's ever played live.
Oh, yeah. I love that one.
Yeah, so a couple things like that. I'll give you those ones without spilling the beans.
Well, we'll be out there in full throat on Saturday night to support you. I'm sure it's going to be a packed house. Just looking at the Facebook event page, there seems to be a lot of people signed up already amongst the rock circles here in Nashville. So I'm sure we're going to be upping the irons on Saturday and being active participants in this show. So I'm certainly looking forward to it, as is everybody else here in Nashville. So we will see you Saturday night, Don.
That sounds great, man. Looking forward to it. I appreciate you guys having me out here to talk about NoiseCult and Iron Tribe and anything else metal. Anytime you want me to come back and talk about metal, I'm in.
Yeah. So did we want to let the folks check out your NoiseCult video as well here that we had to play?
Yeah. So
do you want to tell us a little bit about the Swarm of Electric Death?
Yeah. So this one came off our last record that's out called Burial Hymns. And it was a video that I had done at a place that I had worked. That's where we shot it. So they were nice to let me come in there for the day and do it. But this is an older song that I wrote quite a few years ago. And then we just kind of revamped it when Mike joined the band. So it's with Mike singing and Sean and me had pieced it together years in advance.
Excellent. Okay. Well, then we'll leave you folks with this next video that we'll show. Thank you so much for joining us, Don. We really appreciate it.
All right, fellas. Thank you very much.
It was great talking with you.
All right, have a great night.